Okay, I'm a really big fan of the challenge. I've never talked about it on this channel because I haven't been into it for a while, but I have been watching the challenge ever since I was like an actual child. I think ever since I was like 6 or 7, like when I was like young enough to like watch TV and understand what was going on, like I watched the challenge and I like fell off of it for a really long time, but I've just gotten back into it. I have loved the challenge for a very long time. It's been a part of like my life growing up. So because season 33 just premiered last night, I am making this video in order to, you know, share my opinions on all the veterans coming back, because I have seen a lot of seasons, not all of the seasons. I want to see all the seasons, but I've seen a lot of the more recent seasons, so I know all of the veterans and I have opinions on all of the veterans. So I'm making this very overly thought out video grading each of the challenge veterans in terms of skill, looks, and personality. Because on a reality TV show, those are really the only 3 things that matter. It's how well can you do in a competition? How hot do you look? And are you entertaining for the cameras? Like, literally nothing else matters. And I know, like, rating people in terms of their looks, especially on a number scale like I'm going to do, is very much like bleh. But like on a trashy TV show in which people are literally just put on to be like eye candy, why do you think that they sit them outside in front of the pool all the time and put them in these hot climates so that they could see all the hot people in their swimsuits? Because being hot is a thing on reality TV shows, so I feel it is only right that I judge them on how hot they are. But I want to make it so very clear, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying that any of these are facts. I know that a lot of my opinions are not like objectively true statements, because even though I have a guide for the way that I'm grading everybody, I just give them whatever grade I think that they deserve, because it's my choice. It's my channel. It's my video. This is how I'm going to do it. I also want to make it very clear that I understand that these are not like actual people, because while they are like real people on the show, they are portraying a persona, a character, like a version of themselves that's not reflective of who they are in real life, probably. I don't actually know these people. I am not saying that this is how they are in real life. I'm not trying to judge them as like a person. I'm trying to just judge them as the character that I see on this TV show. So, I'm not trying to diss any of your faves. I'm not trying to diss anyone on the challenge. It's all in good fun. This is the way that I have devised it. The first category is skill, which is made up of mental and physical competitions that I remember them in. Because I've seen many, many seasons, and they all sort of blur together in my mind, so I can't exactly recall every single challenge everyone's ever done. So they might actually be really good competitors, and I can't remember them. But if they're really that good, I probably should remember them. So the second category is hotness. How hot do I think they are? It's really that simple. And the third one is personality. This one is the one where it really gets wild, because I made it up of part entertaining and part nice, because there are people who are so entertaining but are such assholes, and that's why they're entertaining, and I feel like they can deserve the same amount of score as someone who's like really super nice, but that's literally all they bring to the table. So this is a really fast and loose category, basically just how funny and how much do I want to see them on screen, how much screen time do I think they deserve based on their personality. Mostly based on like what they do and what they say in confessionals, because that's where you really get to see how funny or how nice people are. Each of these categories gets 10 points for a total of 30 points. And I'm basing category 2, hotness, based off of how they look now, because I'm taking all this information straight off the MTV website, because they all look different now, and there are some people who I feel like would deserve better or worse scores in previous seasons based on how they looked and how they acted versus how they look and how they act now. You know, people grow, people change. So without further ado, let's start with the first person on this list, CT. Now, I love CT. I love him so much. And I think everyone loves him, which is why they keep bringing him back, because CT is the epitome of a good competitor. That is why we are starting off so strong, and I gave him 30 points. I would have given him more, but I feel like I need to cap everybody at 30 points, otherwise there would be no point to the grading scale. So he got a total of 30 points because he is so wonderful. He got a 10 out of 10 in skill because he is so strong. He's so huge. Like, anytime there's ever a physical competition against CT, all the guys are shaking because he is the best physical competitor. He is so strong. For looks, I give him an 8 out of 10, but just because he is so much older than me. He is a dad, and This is a thing I had to look up. Apparently he's only 2 years older than Johnny Bananas, which is really weird to me because to me, like, CT's like a dad and mature and an adult. And like, Bananas really isn't. So to me, CT's so much older, so it just feels weird to be like, yeah, that guy's hot because he's like an actual father. It's weird. So he got an 8. But just because it feels too weird giving him a 10 when he is like so many years older than me. But to make up for the fact that I can't give him a 10 in that category, I gave him a 12 in terms of personality because CT is the perfect mix of being nice and being funny. Like, he's so entertaining with the commentary that he says, but he's also not like there to be an asshole to anybody. But if you go back and watch the older seasons like I have been doing, he was like a totally different person when he first started on the show. Now he's like way more chill and so like nice and funny and a great competitor, and he's just there to, you know, have some fun, eat some good food, and just, you know, dominating competitions, and I'm so here for that. And that's why CT is starting off, gets 30 points, because CT is amazing. Okay, next person on this list is Hunter. So I've only seen him on 2 seasons. I've seen him on the most recent one where he was with Ashley, and then the Battle of the Champs, Return of the Champs, that one, the one where he meets Ashley. So I don't have the biggest opinion on Hunter, but from what I can vaguely remember, he's not a bad competitor. Like, he's like most of the guys on the show, where he's like really physically strong and that's really all he brings to the table. So I gave him an 8 in terms of skill because he is very physically strong, and he did make it to the final with Ashley in their season. In terms of looks, to me, Hunter is not hot, so he gets a 3. I don't know what Ashley saw in him, because to me, he's very just like, he's not bad looking. I don't think anyone on the show is unattractive, because this is not a show for unattractive people. But Hunter's just not my type. Hunter's not for me. So he gets a 3, because to me, he's just not that hot. And also, in terms of personality, he gets a 4, because he's also kind of really boring. I don't remember anything about his personality. I remember him being country, and that was it. And I remember him getting really mad when Ashley snatched that money from him, and that was it. I remember he's very, like, subdued. He's not that entertaining. And I don't think he's, like, mean, but he's not exponentially nice to make up for the lack in his entertaining, you know? So he doesn't really bring that much to the table for me. So he gets 15 points. He's very middle of the road. I don't really have any opinions one way or the other about Hunter. But now, the next person, Johnny Bananas. I adore Johnny Bananas. I know he's, like, so problematic, but I adore him. He's so funny. He's so funny and such a good competitor, and he's so hot, which is, like, weird to say now that I realize that he's only 2 years younger than CT, but, like, to me, he like acts like he's so much younger than he actually is, because he's not a mature person. It's like, Johnny Bananas is so hot, and he's stayed consistently attractive. Like, there are many people on the show that have either glowed up or glowed down. Bananas has always been hot. Like, Bananas has always brought his looks to the table, and I love that. So, Bananas, he gets an 8 out of 10 in terms of skill, because as much as he's like a wonderfully great competitor, he's nowhere near CT's level. He is really strong, and he's been on a lot of challenges, and he's gotten a lot of wins, and he's made it to a lot of finals. But we all remember that elimination round where CT literally picks him up because they're like strapped back to back, and he just walks him out of the ring because he is that much stronger than Bananas. Like, Bananas is no match compared to CT. But I don't think he's a bad competitor. This 8 points is made out of his mental and physical. Like, he's very strong in both categories versus Hunter, who's like just physical competitions. And in terms of looks, I gave Bananas a 9. Because again, once I realized he was like almost the same age as CT, I was like, I can't give him a 10, that's really weird. But like, again, he is so hot, and he's been so hot for such a long time, and he seems so young that it's like, it's fine. It's fine. So he gets a 9. And then in terms of personality, because I also feel like Bananas deserves 30 points, because he's great. I love him. He's so entertaining. He deserves 13 out of 10 in terms of personality. Also, I felt like Bananas and CT deserve the same amount of points, but I needed to give Bananas more points in terms of personality than CT, because Bananas is like such a personality, that's like his whole thing. So the only way to balance that out was to give him less skill points and more entertainment points, because that's what makes the most sense. So he gets 13 because he's like so funny. He's so funny, and he's not a nice person. He's like nice sometimes, but like nice is not his thing. But he's so funny. He's so funny that he gets 13 points in terms of personality, because his personality is that entertaining. Now, the next person on this list, Kyle. I don't have many opinions on Kyle just because I only know him from Final Reckoning. So I only know his recent season. I don't know anything he's done before that. So I don't have much to go on. But from what I saw in that season, he was a pretty good competitor. So I gave him a 7 because I remember he was like pretty strong and he stayed in the challenge for a pretty long time. I really can't recall anything that he did because there was so much going on in that season. But I remember him being a good competitor because he was with Brad and they were both a really strong team. They were like the guy team to beat. So he gets a 7 for that. And Kyle, he's British and he has a lot of tattoos. He's very well fit. He deserves an 8 because I would have given him more because like I love British men. I love the accent so much and he's so aesthetically attractive. But he is such an asshole that I can't give him more points than that because his personality really weighs down how hot he is. You know, you can only be so hot before your personality gets in the way. And speaking of personality, I gave him 6 points because while he is an asshole, and that's like, I'm not a fan of those characters, he really owns how much of a dick he is, and that I can respect. All he did his whole season was sleep with people and not care about anybody's feelings. And like, what, that's such like an awful thing to do, but he was so set on that being like his storyline and his character, and I was 100% here for that. So Kyle gets 21 points because he's like a pretty good competitor and he's really hot. He didn't bring that much to the table in terms of personality. You know, he was there for the girls and there for the challenges. That was about it. Next person on the list, Leroy. Now, this is kind of sad because on this list it says he's been on 10 seasons. And I was like, what? He's been on 10 seasons? So I looked him up on the wiki and I've apparently seen every single season that he's been on, and yet I can recall nothing that he's done, which I think is kind of awful. Because you would think I would remember something about Leroy, but I genuinely don't. I don't remember him being like particularly nice or particularly mean or good in any of the challenges. I remember vaguely him not being the best at some challenges and him being like one of like the lower people on the totem pole when they had to like cut people off their teams. But that's literally all I remember. I cannot recall a single outstanding moment from Leroy, and I think that says a lot. But that being said, I don't dislike Leroy because I can't remember anything about Leroy. So I think that he deserves 15 points, very middle of the road, just like Hunter. So I gave him 4 points in terms of skills, 5 points in terms of looks, and 6 points in terms of personality. Because he wasn't the best competitor. He's like very middle of the road in terms of looks. I don't think he's like hot. I don't think he's not hot. He's very like middle of the road. And I don't remember him being particularly mean or anything. So he gets like an average 6 points. So we can give him a nice 15 point total. I wish I could remember things about Leroy. Maybe he'll do something substantial this season. I can remember him for something. The next person on this list, Paulie. Now, if you saw my Big Brother videos, which you should watch if you haven't seen them, I watched Paulie's original Big Brother season, so I have had opinions on him for a while, and those will factor into this. Everything ever factors into my opinion of all these people. So, if you watch those videos, you will know. As much as I did not like Paulie, I can very much see that he is a very good competitor. And he is also very attractive. Because, like, on a show like Big Brother, you are looking for completely different things than on a show like The Challenge. Like, I feel like he is meant to be on The Challenge versus on something like Big Brother. He is way more entertaining on the show. Because I think he's, like, actually funny now. And I, again, only saw him on Final Reckoning, so I saw him with Natalie. He was so nice to her and so encouraging. He said one thing towards the end about, like, leaving her behind when they did the whole final thing, which he did, which was really stupid. But other than that, he was, like, super nice. Because the one outstanding thing that I remember from Big Brother is he was an asshole. So he's, like, really 180'd that. And he's so much nicer now. So, like, really brought his personality score up. He's so much nicer, and he's really hot, and he's really good at challenges. And like, he didn't do much in the season because he was stuck in the redemption house all the time, but when he was like ready to leave and he was 100% ready to throw hands with Kyle, I was so here for that. He was really only there to like throw hands. Like, security had to like hold them back. And I was 100% ready to see Kyle and Paulie fight. That I live for. Because, like relationship drama on the show, to me, so boring. I don't care who's fucking who. I don't care about anybody's feelings. They're like, he, like, said that he liked me, but now he's kissing this other girl. I'm like, bitch, you've known him for, like, 3 weeks. Literally get over it. But fights like this, where they're really ready to throw hands, I'm so here for that. Because that could actually have, like, real, like, actual drama. I love that. Paulie brought actual drama to the table. So, he gets 8 points in terms of personality because he is so entertaining and also really nice. And he was not nice before. So I'm like really changing things up to be more likable on a show, which is really what you need on a show like this. In terms of looks, I give him a 7 because I don't think he's particularly attractive, but he does have like the conventional athletic body, swooped hair attractiveness that is like very baseline white boy attractive. So I give him 7 points for that. And he gets 8 points in terms of being a competitor because he's a very good competitor. That is the number one thing that sticks out of my mind. I can't remember anything that he's really done, but I remember him being a good competitor because he got to the final, so he wasn't like bad. My memory is just awful, but I remember him being a pretty good competitor. Next on this list, we're gonna have to explain a little bit of backstory on this. It's Wes, and like I said, I've been watching the show since I was like a baby. And the only 2 people that I remember from when I like watched as a child was Bananas and Wes. So Wes and Banana hold a very special place in my heart because even though I haven't seen Wes in a lot of the recent seasons, I still love him. And every season I wish that he comes back, and now he's finally back. I'm so happy because I love Wes so much, even though like objectively he's not the best competitor on the show. He's not the most entertaining. He's not the best looking, and he doesn't have that many skills, but I love him so much. So, in terms of skill, he gets a 7. Because I remember him being just like in the pack of guys that were like really physically strong and like decently okay at like mental competitions. Like, he wasn't the outstanding best competitor, but he could pull his weight if it was a physical comp, which is what basically all the guys could do. In terms of looks, he is an 8, and he has stayed consistently an 8. For all of his time here. He looks exactly the same. And I love that. Because so many people try to like change their looks, dye their hair. Like Camilla. Like I watched an early season with Camilla. I could not recognize her. I was like, that's not the same Camilla. And it was the same Camilla. Her hair and her makeup look completely different. Now she looks like a completely different person. So, Wes, love how he keeps the same good look. And in terms of personality, he also gets an 8. Because I don't remember him being particularly mean, but I remember him being very funny. I remember he makes a lot of really funny, like, offhanded quips in the confessionals, which I really love. With all of these points, he should only get a 23, which is what he, like, in my mind, deserves in terms of these categories. But like I said, I make up my own rules, really. So, I feel like he deserves an overall score of 28. Because I love him that much. So, Wes gets some bonus 5 points of my love. Because I adore Wes, and I have known him for so long that I feel like it just would be wrong to not give him 28 points. So he gets 5 extra points just for being Wes. I would not give him a 30. He doesn't deserve a 30. He's not CT level. But he very much deserves a high score because of how much I love him. So Wes, 28 points. Really 23. He gets the bonus points because he is Wes. Now, the final veteran for the guy's side. Zach. Now, I have a lot of opinions and a lot of feelings on Zach. Zach is one of my boys, okay? Whenever there are veterans coming back from a season, I always hope for 4 people. CT, Bananas, Wes, and Zach. They are my boys. Zach is one of my boys. But Zach is really not a nice person. And based off this photo of this current season, he's not that hot. So, his score is a lot lower than I feel like it could be. Because I'm a big fan of Zach with long hair. When he had the long hair and he tied it back, that was the peak Zach look. I loved that look, and then he shaved it all off and it all just went downhill from there. I don't know why he did that. Apparently he like donated it to charity, which is a wonderful thing to do, but also he never really had a good haircut after that. It just hasn't been a cute look. He had a whole beard thing for a while, then no hair, and it was really weird, and I hated it. So, when he can get a good haircut again, his look score might go up. But at the moment, it is a 7. Otherwise, he would get a 9. Him with long hair gets a 9. But this current look, it's not cute. So he gets a 7. I can't give him that many points off because he still has a very nice body. But his hair, what? Just fix that. It's not cute. I'm not saying he has to go back to long hair. Just like something that doesn't look ugh. I really hate his haircuts recently. None of them have been cute. And I'm like, give me a better haircut. Going back for a second to him not being nice. Even though he's not nice. Like he's like kind of an asshole. But he's really funny. Like he makes a lot of like really offensive jokes at other people's expense. And like that's not a thing that I would usually support. But like on a show like this, in which they sort of show like the extremes of people, you need to just sort of take entertainment where you can get it, because that's the type of trashy reality TV show that this is. So for personality, he gets a 7, because while he's not nice, he is very funny, but in like kind of the worst way. Now for skill, Zach is a very, very good physical competitor, and I don't really recall when they have a they don't have a lot of mental challenges on the challenge. Those are very few and far between, and even when it's like a mental challenge, it's usually something really simple like a tangram, or they'll say it's a mental challenge and it's really just sort of like having to physically move things. So Zach does really well in the challenges. He's not CT level well. I want to make that so clear that CT is the epitome of all of the contestants. So Zach only gets a 9 because he is really good in physical challenges, but he's not CT level good. And also that the return of the champion season, where he came back and he was with Laurel and he couldn't do that whole hike thing because of the air elevation and he was whining like a little bitch, that wasn't cute. Especially since Battle of the Seasons before, when he was so mean to Sam, when it was like the exact same situation, I was like, ooh, that's not cute. So he gets a point off for that. His total score is 23. As much as he is one of my boys, he's like not a good person. So if he were to like, you know, pull a CT and really get his act together and become like a better, nicer person, then he could get more points. Now, those are all the guys done, and if you can get any indication from that, the grading skill that I introduced at the beginning is really sort of whatever I want to make it. Moving on to the girls. The first 2 girls on this list are very easy. The first one they list is Amanda. And it's really simple. I hate Amanda, so she gets 0 points across the board. Because I hate her. Because she sucks. She's an awful competitor. She's literally won nothing. I can't say that like definitively, but like I can't recall a single thing that she's won. I remember her being bad at everything. She's also not attractive and also a serious bitch. And like, it's fine if you're a bitch, if you're like a funny or entertaining bitch. She's just a bitch because she's so deeply insecure. I've seen a lot of seasons with Amanda, and she's literally never been nice, ever. She is such a bitch to literally everybody, especially to Cara, who I will get to later. But she is like so unnecessarily mean to everyone around her for no reason. And it's like, it's fine if you're a bitch if you're also like funny with the things you do, but she's just being a bitch to like be mean and tear people down. And I don't like that. So she gets 0 points for personality, 0 points for looks, and 0 points for skill. She gets 0 across the board because I hate Amanda. She fucking sucks. Stop bringing her back. I don't like her. The next person on this list, Ashley. Same feelings for her. Don't like her because I don't like really anyone in the Lavender Ladies. Amanda, Ashley, Sylvia, Shane, don't like any of them. They're all awful people. So Ashley would have gotten 0 points across the board if I had seen her in like her earlier seasons, but because of Final Reckoning, that thing that she pulled on Hunter, snatching all the money from him, while I do not agree with it in the slightest, because I think everyone can agree that she would not have made it to that final without him, I respect the move to snatch that money. So she gets 5 points in the skills category just for that. It takes a lot of confidence in what you're doing to steal $1 million from someone. Like, that was a snake move. And she has shown no regret or no remorse for what she's done. And I respect that. As much as I dislike her, I can respect a game move like that. Because while it was shady and so not fair to Hunter, she did that. And like, honestly, I would probably do the same. If you had the option of having $500,000 or $1 million, like, I don't care who you are, I'm taking the money. So like, I can very much respect that. But she's also not a good person and also not entertaining. So she gets 0 points in personality. And she's not cute, so 0 points in looks. So she only gets the 5 points of skill for a total of 5 points for Ashley. She would have gotten 0 if she didn't take that money from Hunter. Sometimes bad things work out in your favor. The next person, Cara Maria. I love Cara. I love her so much. She is probably my favorite female competitor because I love her so much. She is such a good competitor. Like that one season where she was partnered up with Cook because Cook's partner like left or something, and they were thrown into the arena like every time and they like won every time. Like, that was amazing. because Cara is amazing. So in terms of skill, she gets 9 points because she's really like showed up every single time. And that one time where she had to like go against Laurel, who was like her ex-best friend at the time, and she like broke her hand and she had to keep punching the wall. Imagine how strong. How strong. That was crazy. There just have been so many times where it would be so easy for her to be like, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna stop, and she just hasn't. And that's the most admirable thing on the challenge. TJ talks about it all the time. We don't like quitters. So she never quits, and I respect that so much. So for that, she gets a 9 in terms of skill. In terms of look, she gets a 10 out of 10. I think she's absolutely gorgeous. Her hair, her clothes, her body. Cara is beautiful. In terms of personality, she gets an 8 because while I think she's a wonderfully nice person and she's like really funny and she seems like kind of like a better person than most of the people, I like enjoy seeing her because I think she has funny things to say and doesn't take anything really too seriously. And she is like a really nice person. She's not that entertaining. She doesn't have any outstanding moments in the confessional for me, and she cries a lot. I'm not knocking her points for crying because like people have really just been mean to her for like no reason other than she is clearly a threat to all of the girls in the house every season. But I am knocking her points off for not being that entertaining. I feel like she could be funnier. I feel like she could do things to be more entertaining in the confessionals. I feel like a lot of her confessionals are very much, here are the facts and here are some fun things I have to say. But she's a great competitor. And she's gorgeous, and she's really nice. So her total score is 27 points, because it's very much what she deserves, because I love Cara. Of all the female competitors, no, I take that back. Sarah's probably my favorite female competitor. Cara's a very close second. I haven't seen Sarah since, like, that last season where Johnny stole that money from her. So, Cara's kind of like my stand-in favorite female competitor. At the very least, on this season, I'm rooting for Cara out of all of the girls. Next on this list, Devon. Now, Devon, like Paulie and like Natalie that I will talk about at the end of this list, I have seen them all on Big Brother, so I have opinions on them based on Big Brother. I didn't dislike Devon on Big Brother. A lot of people didn't like her. I can't really recall why, but I didn't dislike Devon. I feel like she played a really smart game. I feel like she played it too smart. She overthought a lot of things, and that's what really tripped her up and got her kicked off on the season. And I feel like she does that a lot in the challenge, and it doesn't really work out in her favor. She honestly is not a good competitor, like at all. I don't really remember her winning any challenges. I think she might have won a few with Jose in Final Reckoning, but I can't really recall anything that she's like won, let alone on her own. So for skill, she gets a 1, because I don't think she deserves a 0. She's not an Amanda where she brings nothing to the table, but she doesn't bring a lot to the table. So she gets a 1 in terms of skill. In terms of looks, she gets a 5. Like, I don't think she's exceptionally attractive. I don't think she's not attractive. She's very middle of the road. She's like... So she gets a 5. In terms of personality, though, I think Devon is so funny. Her confessionals are so entertaining on Big Brother and on the challenge. And she's also really nice. So she brings the total package in terms of personality. So for personality, she gets 10 points because she is so entertaining. I think that's why they brought her back for this season, because in terms of like the actual challenge, she's not that good. But she is really funny and also really nice. So she's not another person to add unnecessary drama like Amanda without like also bringing something that can like draw the attention of the audience, being like, I'm funny, I can bring in jokes. That's why I like Devon. So she gets 10 points for her personality. She has 5 for look. She gets 1 for skill. Total of 16 points. She's very middle of the road to me, but she is very outstanding in terms of her personality. Now, next on this list is Jenna. Jenna, I had a hard time coming up with Jenna's score. Because while the first thing that comes to my mind where I think Jenna is dumb blonde, but like not in a bad way, because I think I adore Jenna. Jenna's the sweetest thing. I love her so much. She is wonderful. But that is until you remember Battle of the Bloodlines, which I completely forget about that season every time. But when she was on with her cousin, she was so good, so shockingly good, so much so that I'm still shocked that they did so well. They were killing it in the final. Like, it still has me shook that she did that well, because I did not expect that out of Jenna. She, like, really wasn't that exceptional in challenges prior to that final. I can't really remember any outstanding things she's done except for that, but that final was so shocking that it's really put her in my mind as, like, an actual competitor, and not just a person who floats along because she's, like, sleeping with one of the tough guys that's gonna make it to the end, you know? Jenna's, like, a serious competitor, and I, like, gained so much respect for her after I saw that final. So, in terms of skill, Jenna gets a 7. For that final and that final alone, because I can't remember anything else that she's done. I don't really remember her being particularly good at any challenge, but I do remember her killing that final. So for that, she gets a 7. In terms of looks, she gets an 8. She's really pretty, but she's not like... She's not Cara. She's not like, wow. But she is really pretty. And in terms of personality, I gave her an 8. Because I really love her personality. I think she is the perfect example of why I made the personality category entertaining and nice. Because while she's not like the funniest person, she is the sweetest person. She has been so nice. I don't remember her being mean like ever. I remember her being exceptionally nice, like throughout all of the seasons. And she's like so like airheadish sometimes that it's funny. And that's why she gets such a high score in terms of personality, because she's really nice. And even though she doesn't like intend to make jokes, she's just sort of like a dumb blonde in the way where like the things she says are like so dumb that you laugh. Kind of like a Karen Smith from Mean Girls, where she's like such a harmless like idiot. I say this in the nicest way because I love Jenna. I really would love to see her make it to another final because she's wonderful. I don't know about the general population. I don't know how they feel about Jenna, but I feel like a lot of people underestimate her because at least that's like the edit that she's given, where she just sort of seems like a dumb blonde that you can't really expect much out of. But I, because of that final, recognize that she's a good competitor. I would love to see her make it to another final because she's a good person that I like seeing on the show. Because she's really nice. Because there's enough people trying to be mean and start drama, but she's just like a kind person. And I like that about her. Next person on this list is Cam. Killer Cam. Now, I've only seen Cam on Final Reckoning. So again, I don't have much to draw off of when I talk about Cam. I remember how outstanding she was in all of the elimination competition. She's called Killer Cam for a reason. I remember that name because she is so good in eliminations. And that whole thing where she got everyone to do burn votes so that her vote was the only one that mattered in Armageddon. That was so cool. It was so cool that the first time she explained it, I had no idea what she was talking about until it started happening. And I was like, oh, I get it. And it was so cool. Like, that's some Big Brother mind game type shit that I respect. Getting to manipulate everyone in the house to work for you, like, unknowingly, was everything. And she got Sylvia to cry. That really sold it. That was a wonderful episode. Ugh. Cam is amazing. So for that, in terms of skill, she gets a 9 because she is a wonderful physical competitor and she's playing such a great mental game that she could like orchestrate that whole thing to happen. That was everything. In terms of looks, she gets a 7 because I remember her being pretty attractive, but this photo that they're showing on the website is not cute. I think it's probably the lighting. The lighting is not flattering for her. Someone should get her a better photo. That's not a cute photo. That does not show how cute Cam really is. But I have to just assume that maybe this is just what she looks like now. So I would have given her an 8, but because of this not that cute photo, she gets a 7. Now, in terms of personality, I can't really recall much about her. I only remember that big stand-up moment of her orchestrating everything about the vote in Final Reckoning, and that's literally all I remember her doing. I don't remember her being that funny outside of anything. I don't remember her being that nice outside of anything, but I do remember her walking around in her like fur coat and being like, I'm the best. And like, as much as that's like really arrogant and kind of annoying, she really owned that. She really owned the Killer Cam persona, and I respect that. So for this category, personality, she gets 4 points. So Cam gets a total of 20 points because while I feel like the shit that she pulled in Final Reckoning was outstanding, she could be doing a bit more. She could be a bit more funny. It's probably just because I haven't seen her in a lot of seasons to like get a good grip on what she brings to the table in terms of personality, but I'd love to see more of her. I'm very happy that she's in this season so I can watch more Cam because Cam was great. Now, the next person on this list, Nany. Just like Leroy, looked her up. I apparently have seen every single season that Nany's been on, but again, I can recall literally 0 things that she has ever done, which is not a good thing. And like the seasons that she was on were like seasons that I remember things from, but I remember her being in 0 of them. The one outstanding thing for Nany is that she gets drunk and starts fights, and that's literally it. That's all I can remember her for. And that'd be fine if she was like a good competitor or like entertaining in some other way, but that's literally all I can recall when I think of Nany. So in terms of skill, because I can't remember her being good, if anything, I remember her being kind of bad. Like, I remember her being in challenges with like really good male competitors and her not picking up her slack. So in terms of skill, just because I don't have anything to disprove this feeling that she's not a good competitor, she gets 2 points. Because I feel like she's done like some good things. It says here that she made it to a final, so she can't be like the worst. But I don't remember anything that she's done. I wish I had more to go off. I really should have more to go off. But I think that's like already saying enough that I've seen so many seasons of Nany and I can't remember anything that she's done except for get drunk, start fights, and hook up with people. That's my main thing that I don't like with Nany. That's the only thing that where I'm like, I don't have any opinions except I don't really like her, is that she would like make fun of people or like talk down to like girls who would go and like sleep with a bunch of guys, but then she would do the exact same thing, and I'm like, what? Why are you shaming all these girls for, you know, doing what they want to do, thoughting it up when you're doing the same thing? That was annoying. For that, in terms of personality, she gets 3 points. Because while her drunken fights are kind of entertaining sometimes, they can't make up for the fact that she's like kind of really hypocritical and really boring. So her skills are 2, her personality is a 3, and for her look, she gets 5 because she's very middle of the road, and I felt like she deserved like a really like simple sort of lower third 10 points. I feel like Nany deserves 10 points because she's not like awful. Like, there's a lot of other people that I would rather not have on the show than her. Like, she's not at the bottom of the totem pole, but I don't like, there's a lot of other girls that I like more than Nany. So for the last of the 8 female veterans, we have Natalie, and I just adore Natalie. Just like Davon and Paulie, I saw her on her Big Brother season, and honestly, her Big Brother season was kind of really a letdown. She was a floater, 100%, all the way to the end. She didn't bring any game whatsoever. And it was kind of really annoying. But she was really, really nice. And that was something that I always liked in her. Because if you're going to be a floater, you might as well be an exceptionally kind person. But just like the other people, I've only seen her in Final Reckoning. But she really showed out in Final Reckoning. She made it all the way to the final. Granted, she didn't get lost. But I blame that on Paulie. And let us all not forget that whole wheel challenge where they were stuck in like that bingo ball wheel that Kyle was like flipping her and rotating her around. It was her and Paulie versus Kyle and Brad, the guy team to beat. And Natalie being thrown around in this cage by this like 6 foot tall, real big buff man just whipping her around. She beat the guys. That was so cool. Imagine tiny little Natalie, who really hasn't proven herself, at least to me, at least what I have seen, prior to this moment. It was kind of everything. And she came out bloodied. She was fucked up. Like, that cage did not show her any mercy, and she still showed up and she still won that challenge because she's not a quitter. That I respect so much. So for that, she gets a 6, because while she did really prove herself in that, I still remember how she acted on Big Brother, where she showed absolutely no game, and I feel like Paulie did have a lot to do with her getting to the final, especially since she got lost on their run. So I would love to see what else she could show in this season, because I do adore Natalie and I want to see her be a better competitor, because I feel like she can be, because that elimination round with Kyle and Brad was really, really cool. In terms of looks, I gave her a 5. I feel like before I would have given her like more points. Like on Big Brother, she was cute. She wasn't like exponentially attractive. She was really cute. She would have gotten like a 6 or a 7. But this photo that they're showing here is very much middle of the road. She's not that hot. She's not that not hot. Like, it's very much an MTV look where she like has like dramatic like glam makeup, her hair slicked back, and I'm like, not for me. And in terms of personality, she gets a 6. And this is mostly just because she's nice. She's not that entertaining. She's not that funny. She doesn't really bring much to the table except for the fact that she's very, very kind. But again, I've only seen her on that one season, so hopefully I will get more things to see of her in this season to like boost up her score, because right now she's sitting at a 17. Because while I do think Natalie is great, she could be a lot better, and I feel like she could be funnier, and she could be like a stronger competitor. And I feel like she has it in her, so I'm hoping that I can see it this season, because I really do like Natalie, and I would like to see her in more seasons. So yeah, this is how I have graded all of the people on this upcoming season of the challenge. If you have opinions, tell me those opinions. I love to hear other things, because I know that there are probably a lot of things that I've forgotten about all of these people that would like definitely influence the scores that I gave them. So, you know, tell me how you think. Do you love Amanda for some reason? Tell me why. Do you hate Johnny Bananas? Probably very valid. You can tell me why, but I probably know why. I'll probably make another video about the challenge when the season is over and I watch it all, so I'll look forward to that. These sound so offensive. I don't mean like unattractive people can't be on the challenge, but like the challenge is an MTV reality show where they cast people to be like, oh, look at all the hot people on our show. You know, I'm not here to be mean. I'm just here to share opinions.